This program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana. Good evening and a very warm welcome to First Issues. I'm Thapelo. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. The Botswana Stock Exchange, the only stock market in Botswana that traces its roots back to 1989, when it was only known as the Botswana Share Market, or BSM. At that time, there was no formal stock market in Botswana, and the BSM traded as an informal market with only 5 listed entities and a single broking firm. However, in September 1994, legislation to transform the BSM into a full exchange was passed by Parliament, paving the way for the establishment of the Botswana Stock Exchange, where trading opened in November 1995. About 3 years later, Ernst & Young took full administration of the BSE, but as history continued being made, in 2003, the BSE became a fully independent entity following the appointment of its very first full-time CEO in 2001. Quite the strides, but perhaps one of the BSE's most notable milestones and bold maneuvers was in 2016 when Thapelo Tsheole was appointed CEO to the exchange. But at just 39 years old, he was the youngest ever appointed CEO, not just at the exchange, but in the country. Thenceforth, he led the Botswana Stock Exchange to list well over 40 companies from both Botswana and across our borders, was part of the team that led the demutualization of the BSE that commenced in the beginning of December 2015, ultimately leading to demutualized status in August of 2018, amongst other accomplishments. These are no surprise, as Tsheole holds a Bachelor of Sciences with a single major in economics from the University of Botswana and a Master of Commerce in Financial Markets from Rhodes University. Further, he holds a Master's in Business Administration from the Graduate School of Business at the University of Cape Town. On the back of these, he has an illustrious career in the financial markets, with over 15 years cumulative experience, having worked at the Bank of Botswana and the Botswana Stock Exchange. Although his was quite the impressive ride as CEO, it came to an end 8 years later, on the 30th of April 2024. Tsheole shares with us how he found his journey at the exchange, what he believes have been the highlights of his tenure, and of course, where his next pursuits lie. Tsheole, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We are here to talk to you about, your journey at the stock exchange, seeing that your tenure has come to an end. Perhaps you could share with us briefly how you found your journey.
It was a very fulfilling experience. I joined the BSE as a manager 17 years ago, and then I transitioned to a deputy CEO in 2014, and then 2 years later I became the CEO. I've been CEO for 8 years, 4 months now, and I think for me, it was a great journey. I did what I can to the best of my ability and knowledge.
8 years is quite a while. Perhaps at this point you'd like to talk about some noteworthy achievements that you feel are worthy of being mentioned right now.
When I got into the CEO position, the BSE was not demutualized. And then I led and finished the demutualization process. In 2018, we converted into a company with various shareholding. And in addition to that, most importantly, staff members also became shareholders in the company. BSE staff own about 5% of the company. I think those are two major big ones. And then the other thing is that when I took over, we still relied on government subvention to some extent. in order to fund the operations of business. And then 2 years or a year and a half later, we stopped receiving subvention from government because we're making our own money. BSE now is a profitable entity with very significant cash reserves, which myself and my team managed to build over a period of this 8 years, 5 months. We have about 130 million plus in terms of the account, and that by itself, I think, is a big success. And the other thing is, when I assumed power, or when I assumed the CEO position, there were about 23,000 investors in the BSE, Botswana investors. We now have more than 100,000 Botswana investors. That's a 500% increase. But of course, a significant number of that also came through BTCL, but it's only about 20,000. The rest about 50,000 plus, I think, were a result of our market development activities, which is a very significant component, which I also make sure that I give it priority. And also, we also increased the brand value of the BSE across the world. We became a full member of the World Federation of Exchanges last year, and you become a full member because you work towards it to achieve certain variables, and that we did, and that we've attained. We became a member of United Nations Sustainable Exchanges in 2016 because we take sustainability issues quite seriously. We also got accreditation to UK's Revenue and Customs Office, and that explained the reason why we now have majority of investors from the UK. And the only 3 stock exchanges in Africa that are recognized by the UK Revenue and Customs is Botswana, Mauritius, and South Africa. So it was a significant impact in terms of that. We also launched the mentorship program, and we have about 60 companies that graduated from the mentorship program, and we are looking forward to those companies listing in the BSE. We also have had increased turnover levels in terms of the equity, in terms of the increase in market cap. We are now worth about 600 billion from about 300 billion. Now we are a very large and recognized stock exchange, even globally. And most importantly, also at regional level, we played a very crucial role. I've been chairman of the SADC stock exchanges. There are 14 stock exchanges in SADC. I've been chairperson for about 7 years now, and I've just left the chairmanship. And as a result of recognition of our contribution to capital markets in Africa, and also I was voted the president of African Stock Exchanges in 2022 December. To lead the African body of stock exchanges. And that really shows you there's a lot of confidence and trust from across the capital markets in Africa, led by the BSE. So those are some of the major achievements, not all, but those are some of the major achievements that my team and I managed to realize during my position as the CEO.
Those are some very impressive, stellar achievements, but I can't imagine them being without any hurdles or challenges. So maybe at this point you could share with our viewer what some of the hurdles that you've had to overcome were.
Number one, the financial literacy in Botswana is significantly very low, even relative to other countries, and therefore educating the public about stock market when they have a low financial literacy has always been a very big challenge. But I think we did very well, and we actually even got international awards for some of the best educational programs in Africa. And then number two, things sometimes can be very slow. We have laughed by this time the BSE is a listed entity after demutualization, but I think it's taken too long, especially on the government side, to actually get approval to move to a second level of stage and second level of development, which indeed is a very significant one. Those are some of the big challenges that we actually realized. But over and over, I think we have had a very supportive Ministry of Finance, very supportive government and stakeholders, and therefore I think really we didn't have a lot of problems during my era because we are fully supported.
Tsheole, you are a leader in an executive position, right? And I want to believe there have been some notable learnings, perhaps even key in your journey. please share some of the key learnings from this particular journey or your tenure that you feel other executive leaders can inculcate into their own leadership?
When you lead, you need to know the purpose of the organization that you are leading. What does it do? What interest does it have? What is its contribution to the economy? What is its importance in the economy? One thing that is the greatest takeaway is that, the stock market operates because of investor confidence. It also operates because of trust that people's money are safe. And therefore, it's an integrity, market integrity. And therefore, throughout my leadership, I've always tried my level best to ensure that, we do the best practice in terms of the market. Despite the differences that we might have with anybody, but we need to run the stock market in sense that, or in a manner in which the public and even the listed entity will have confidence and integrity in the daily management of the exchange. And that dials down to the culture and the organization in terms of how we do things. We need to deliver in the mandate of the exchange. And I'm happy to say, I think we did our level best.
Indeed, you did do your level best. What do you hope for the exchange moving forward? Somebody else is going to be taking over.
Look, I've laid down a great foundation for the next person to take the BSE to even greater heights. We have a lot of listings in the pipeline, companies that want to list in the market. We have the CPD mentorship program companies that we have educated, and they are lining up in order to prepare themselves for listing in the medium to long term. So anyone who comes in needs to work very hard in order to continue that assignment. And also, we have a building project head office, an iconic building head office that we started in the CBD. We're at the design stage, and anyone who comes needs to complete the project of an iconic building for a stock exchange. Because everywhere you go around the world, when people come into a city or town, they want to see the stock exchange building. And therefore, the stature of the type of building that I envisaged should actually be completed, because it will be a very good dream for the BSE. BSE needs to self-list because it's best practice, and I think that needs to be completed. We have about 7 ETFs, exchange traded funds, coming up. We've been working very hard behind the doors trying to finalize that deal. And therefore, I think anyone who comes up is just to pick on the uncompleted projects, complete them while also charting a new vision for the exchange.
While those are your hopes for the exchange, what are we going to be seeing from you? What is next for you from here?
I got recruited for an opportunity outside the country. And then after back and forth, I decided that I've done my part in the BSE. I accepted the opportunity, and then I have resigned from the BSE. And I'll be going to join the new organization in a different country from 1st of June, and then still contribute to the development of capital markets. I've played my part. I'm leaving behind a very solid team that is going to take the BSE forward. And, it is actually the end of journey for me with the BSE. And I think I've enjoyed it. I've done my level best I can. I worked so hard to bring the organization to where we are, of course, with the team of great employees that were working for the BSE, past and present.